Episode 2, the maternal side of my family's mental health breakdown. And I'm going to try to do this very quickly because I just think it's important that we know about the mental health on both sides of my family in order to move through the story. So my great-grandmother on my mom's side of the family definitely suffered with mental health issues, but I am unsure how to describe that because she was undiagnosed. Back in those times, I think that it just was not discussed and therefore not diagnosed. A few quick stories. She was known to take a knife in the middle of the night and just wake the children up by stabbing at the pillow next to their head and yelling obscenities. Her son, she decided at 15 she no longer wanted him in her home and just kicked him out the door to go figure it out on his own, which my Nana, my grandmother, and her brother were separated at that point and later had to connect in life as adults. Thankfully, they did, and they formed a better relationship as adults, which thank goodness they did, but there was many years that they missed each other a lot due to that. In my Nana's adult life, she did not have anything to do with her mother, my great-grandmother, because of the toxicity. And she did, though, put together a funeral for my great-grandmother when my great-grandmother passed away. And my great-grandmother was so toxic that there was absolutely no one that attended my great-grandmother's funeral. So that kind of gives you an idea of my great-grandmother and how evil she was as a person. So let's go ahead and move into my Nana and my Papa, which is my mom's mother and father. My Nana did not get help for how traumatic her childhood was. And so she, I believe, just continued. She tried to make it better than what she had lived, but I believe she just kind of continued that mental health struggle. And it wasn't until she was in her 70s that she began taking depression medication. She was only diagnosed with depression from what I know and understand. She wasn't diagnosed with anything else. However, what I witnessed in my adult life from my Nana was that she was an organized hoarder, meaning she had boxes from floor to ceiling throughout her entire house, and you could walk just down certain rows throughout her house. She bought 3 of everything. That was done on purpose, though. She would buy one for my mom, one for my sister, and one for me. So she did have a purpose, but she never gave it to us. It was just boxed and put away in her house. So she was an organized hoarder. She also would make herself sick for attention. And this gets kind of dark, but I need to explain this in order to fully understand how mentally ill she was. She would take laxatives and also not eat. And she did this so many times that she made herself so sick they put her on hospice. And I received a phone call asking me, could I take care of her on hospice? Because the doctor told her she was not going to recover from doing this. And I said I would move in and take care of her, but I was going to come in and clean the house out before I moved it. Meaning I was going to move the hoard so that people could get in and out of the house, and I was going to get rid of all the laxatives. And so I cleaned out about 4 to 5 of the outside trash bins of laxatives, just of pure laxatives. That's how many she had hidden throughout the house. So I got rid of those, and I began living with her and taking care of her. And she started getting better. So much better that we thought we were going to be able to pull her off of the hospice list. However, I had to leave one weekend, and my mother was left to take care of her mother. And they did not get along very well. And apparently while I was gone, they had some kind of disagreement. My Nana was very stubborn, and her way of, I guess, showing my mom how things were going to be was that she talked one of the nurses who did not know about the laxative issue into going and buying her laxatives. And so she took laxatives and refused to eat for the next week. And I had no idea there was laxatives in the home. And even though she had been told, and even though she was on hospice, and she had been told if she did this again, her body would shut down and there would be no coming back from it, she did this again. And her body did shut down. And we lost my Nana about 3 weeks later. She passed away. I don't believe if she was not mentally ill that would have happened. I don't think fully healthy individuals make those kind of choices. And so it is my belief that she had mental illness that went untreated. And there were several conversations that I had had with her in the time that I was blessed with to take care of her. There is several conversations that I had with her that led me to believe that she knew that she suffered with some kind of mental illness, and that she wished she had done things different, and that she wished that she had gotten help when she was younger. And so I feel blessed that I was given that time and that knowledge with her. I will talk more about the relationship that I had with my Nana later on in the storyline. So that is my Nana, and that is her mental health. My Nana had 2 children. She had my Uncle Denny, and she had my mom. She also had a 3rd child that passed away when she was only a year old. That was pretty traumatic for my Nana. And she had 13 miscarriages, so that was pretty hard too. So that obviously played into the mental health issue. But we're going to talk about the 2 children that were living children. So Uncle Denny, he was 15 years older than my mom. He went into the military, and when he came out, he was diagnosed with mental health issues. He was diagnosed with schizophrenia. I also took care of him after taking care of my Nana. I took care of Uncle Denny for 15 years. It was 15 years that I am so happy that I got with him. And he was diagnosed with mental health issues. He was treated for his mental health issues. He took his medication on a regular basis. And it was an honor to spend that time with him. So we'll move on to my mom. My mom was undiagnosed. I believe my mom thought that there was nothing wrong with her. My mom was a hoarder. She was not an organized hoarder like my grandma. She was a unorganized hoarder. We cleaned her hoard multiple times. She also suffered with Munchausen syndrome. These are all things I witnessed. I'm not saying she was diagnosed with. I'm saying I witnessed my childhood, my witnessing these things. For legal reasons, I'm saying this. She suffered with Munchausen syndrome. She suffered with hoarding. She doctor shopped, which is, I believe, how she got away with not being diagnosed. My mom also went to school for nuclear med tech, so she had a little bit of a medical background. She only worked in that field for a short amount of time. So with that, she had this medical background, so when she talked to doctors, whether it be a doctor's appointment for me or my dad or my sister, she would talk doctory language or nurse language, and so people would assume she was very educated in these things, and therefore kind of listen to her more than they would listen to us as patients, which was frustrating. As I got older, I had to really unravel my medical history and figure out what was truth and not truth. And that was difficult. And we'll talk about that more throughout the story. But that was something that she suffered with. I would not want to stick a label on her, but the research that I've done points towards her having something similar to bipolar or multiple personality disorder. I have other family members, and I do not want to throw their personal business out there, but I have other family members that have been diagnosed with bipolar, and a lot of those things are genetic. And so I believe that had my grandmother and my mother been diagnosed with anything, those would likely be their diagnoses. So, with that being said, that's my maternal side of the family's mental health breakdown. I think it's important because those are going to play a huge role in why things happen the way they did. The next episode will be my paternal side of the family and the mental health breakdown for them. Much kindness, much love. Bye for now.